Hello, my friends. My name is Liliana Noemi Corona Guerrero de Moyo, but don't worry, you can call me Lily for short. It's been about 6 months since my previous message. It's been really hard for me to get in front of the camera. My dad passed away a couple months ago. I've lacked the ganas, the motivation. I had a very special connection with my dad, and my heart goes out to anyone who's lost a parent. You literally feel like a part of you has dimmed and is gone. Today, I want to talk about a message that has been weighing heavily in my heart for a while. Because of what's going on politically in our country, it is more important than ever to discuss it. And I hope and pray we can have a discussion today that will open your eyes and your heart. It is a very controversial issue right now, also one that is close to my heart because of the things that I've experienced. So my husband and I serve in the Red Cliffs Temple, and there was a profound lesson that I was taught a couple of months ago. There's a young woman who's one of the worker assistants. She's very beautiful, likes to wear her hair up, and I would notice that she had this tattoo behind her ear. In my narrow, judgmental mind, I would often think, ooh, if I was her, I would put my hair down. She's got beautiful hair. It would cover her tattoo. On one occasion, I finally got to work side by side. And so I got close enough to her to where I was able to really see the details in her tattoo. And I noticed that it was a semicolon. My heart just kind of sank. And I asked her, is that tattoo meant for you? And she said, yes, but it's not cancer survival. And I said, no, I know. I have a relative that's very dear to me that has the same tattoo. And we both looked at each other and our eyes welled up and we embraced. For those of you who don't know what the semicolon means, it means somebody who attempted suicide and did not succeed. It's the same as you were about to finish your sentence and end it, but you decided to continue on that sentence. Here I was judging this person, this beautiful soul who has been through so much. I was judging her from a distance. It was a huge learning experience, what the Lord was trying to teach me through her. And I hope we don't do that to our brothers and sisters. I pray we draw close to people, not allow voices around us, rumors, gossip, or what we hear in the media determine how we think or feel about a certain group of people. If we're not close enough to really know their story, to walk their shoes, it's really hard for us to make judgment. If we're listening to diverse voices, if we're listening to the media, we miss the opportunity to see Christ in their lives. But one of the things that I'm very passionate about is the subject of immigration. And it's really difficult to talk about immigration without people getting riled up. That word is very heavy. It's a trigger word for many. And that's just immigration. Now, if we throw in illegal immigration, well, that just takes it up a whole nother notch. I just want to make this clear. I don't have an affiliation to any political party, but I do believe the politicians are using the two-party system as a chip to divide people. In the end, they're both run by the same machine. The media, we know they like to spin things their way. And I think that it can be very harmful if we don't know the full truth, if we don't know both sides of the story. And so it's going to take a few mini-series for us to discuss all of the content that I want to share with you so that we can understand what other people are going through, why this is happening, and not have anger or biased opinions or misinformation circulating among our community, among the saints. When we are fighting with each other, we are divided. When we are united, then we are strong. For those of you who are tempted to stop listening, I challenge you to continue with this because you might gain some added insight that will help you make your own educated opinion about this subject. To at least put ourselves in other people's shoes, understand their stories, and that way we're not quick to judge. We can have a lot more compassion and understanding for one another. In the scriptures, it tells us that if there are any good gifts that we desire, we need to ask of God. Many of the prophets have been prompting us to acquire the gift of knowledge and wisdom and understanding. One of the things that really stuck out to me is when I was learning about King Solomon. And in 1 Kings 3, we read, "In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And God said, 'Ask what I shall give thee.'" After Solomon has this little back and forth discussion with the Lord, he says, "Give therefore thy servant an understanding heart to judge thy people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this thy so great a people?" And the speech pleased the Lord, that Solomon had asked this thing. And God said unto him, "Because thou hast asked this thing, and hast not asked for thyself long life, neither hast asked riches for thyself, nor hast asked the life of thine enemies, but hast asked for thyself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to thy words. Lo, I have given thee a wise and an understanding heart, so that there was none like thee before thee, neither after thee shall any arise like unto thee. And I have also given thee that which thou hast not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto thee all thy days." And so we see how King Solomon was highly blessed. I mean, out of all of the things in this world that Solomon could have asked for, he asked for the gift of discernment. He asked understanding and wisdom. And then the Lord gave him that. And because he had that, he had so much added upon him. That's how we understand just how precious this gift is. And then Elder Howard W.Hunter likewise challenges us to obtain an understanding heart. He says, "If the Lord was pleased because of that which Solomon had asked him, surely he would be pleased with each of us if we had the desire to acquire an understanding heart. This must come from conscious efforts coupled with faith and firm determination. An understanding heart results from the experience we have in life if we keep the commandments of God. The ills of the world would be cured by understanding. Wars would cease and crime disappear. The scientific knowledge now being wasted in the world because of the distrust of men and nations would be diverted to bless mankind. Atomic energy will destroy unless used for peaceful purposes by understanding hearts. We need more understanding in our relationships with one another, in business and in industry, between management and labor, between government and the governed. We need understanding in that most important of all social units, the family. Understanding between children and parents, between husband and wife. Marriage would bring happiness and divorce would be unknown if there were understanding hearts. Hatred tears down, but understanding builds up. Our prayer could well be as was Solomon's. Lord, give me an understanding heart. And so for me, just reading Elder Howard W. Hunter's words hit home, because this is why I want us to discuss the issue of immigration, because if we can learn to understand each other better, then we can learn to be one. One of my best friends, she had been in primary with me since I was 8 years old. She was going through the process with her parents to gain her citizenship, paying, the attorney fees and the government fees. I was one of her first friends when she arrived from Mexico. She was so excited when she finally got her letter back from the immigration office. She went to seminary class and she told our teacher, who was Caucasian at the time, she said, "Oh, I'm so excited because I've got a meeting at the immigration office in LA, and so I have to leave early." And the professor basically scolded her and said, "I can't believe that you're here illegally. I'm shocked and I'm so ashamed of you," and basically really made her feel terrible. So much so that she didn't want to go back to seminary. My friend had been brought here as a child. It was not of her own doing. This was a minor being scolded by an adult who didn't understand the situation. Sadly, she has since left the church. That is really tragic. Within our community, we need to have compassion. We need to have understanding. And that's why it's so important for us to have these discussions so that we don't place judgment and don't allow outside sources and stories and media to really blind us when we can have so much love and unity. with our brothers and sisters. In film graduate school, I wrote and directed a short film. I think it's very appropriate for this discussion, and it's about the struggles of a female student trying to navigate the stressors of academic life while being affected by the hardships of being an immigrant woman of color. And I hope that you can put yourself in her shoes, and everything that has been vocally said in this dream sequence, I have heard within my lifetime, said to me directly or to friends and family members.
When you have action in semantics, you have to remember you have the beginning of an object, a subject. After the subject, something comes up.
Your English isn't very good. Why don't you try Chicano literature instead?
English, please. No comprehending.
Don't tell me you're one of those illegals. Huh?
If you hate it so much, why don't you go back to your own country?
Why don't you try a Spanish congregation? This just isn't where you belong. This just isn't where you belong. This just isn't where you belong.
You plan on going back to your country to help your people?
You people just come here and take our jobs.
Stop talking in your lingo. We're in America now.
Go back to where you came from. Go back to
You're one of those illegals.
But no promises. Take our jobs, but no promises.
I've told you all the answers for the final, and I hope you study hard.
I have experienced a lot of racism in the United States. Just last year, I was attacked verbally by 3 people outside of Costco. Once they saw that my husband was white, they all started running away. One time when we were at the gym with my sister, an older man attacked us verbally, and he said, "Go back to where you came from. Stop talking your lingo." A lot of it is fear. A lot of it is fueled by racism and misinformation in the media to cause division. I think it's really sad when people say, "Oh, these illegals are taking our jobs. They're not paying their dues," because that's not always the case. And a lot of the jobs that are available to people that are coming from out of this country are jobs that most people don't want to do, which is working out in the fields, in the crops. They're getting sprayed by toxic pesticides, working in the heat, 110-degree weather sometimes, on the rooftops. They don't have the education where they realize they have to drink so much water. Their kidneys start failing after a few years. So when people say that illegal immigrants are taking their jobs and that they don't pay taxes, that is not true. That's not always the case, because my brother, when he was here illegally, he did pay his taxes, and a lot of the times he did not receive a refund. A lot of people don't realize and understand that most people that work here illegally, they're using a social security number that is false, or they're using one by someone who's deceased. There's an industry that sells you fake social security numbers or a valid one. And basically, you're still having to pay your taxes. To those that are applying to the immigration program, they give you something called the ITIN number, an identification number. It's similar to the Social Security number. So if you do the E-Verify is where you can tell if someone's working without permission. Because of their ITIN number, their taxes are taken out. And because of language barriers, because they don't know anybody to prepare their taxes, most of the time immigrants don't feel safe because they feel like they're going to get deported. They just don't even want to deal with it, which is really sad because they could be getting a refund at the end of the year. And so the money just stays within the government. According to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy, the ITEP, a nonprofit, nonpartisan tax policy organization which conducts rigorous analysis of tax and economic proposals at the federal, state, and local levels, their key findings are as follows. That undocumented immigrants paid $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. Most of that amount, $59.4 billion, was paid to the federal government, while the remaining $37.3 billion was paid to the state and local governments. Undocumented immigrants paid federal, state, and local taxes of $8,889 per person in 2022. In other words, for every 1 million undocumented immigrant who resides in the country, public services receives $8.9 billion in additional tax revenue. More than a third of the tax dollars paid by undocumented immigrants go towards payroll taxes, dedicated to funding programs that these workers are barred from accessing. Undocumented immigrants paid $25.7 billion in Social Security taxes, $6.4 billion in Medicare taxes, and $1.8 billion in unemployed insurance taxes in 2022. Income tax payments by undocumented immigrants are affected by laws that require them to pay more than otherwise similar situated U.S. citizens. Undocumented immigrants are often barred from receiving meaningful tax credits and sometimes do not claim refunds owed due to lack of awareness, concerns about their immigration status, or insufficient access to tax preparation assistance. The conclusion: undocumented immigrants pay substantial amounts towards the funding of public infrastructure, institutions, and services. Specifically, we find that in 2022, undocumented immigrants paid $96.7 billion in taxes at the federal, state, and local levels. More than a third of that amount, or $33.9 billion, went towards funding social insurance programs that these individuals are barred from accessing because of their immigration status. These findings to me are so alarming. When I first read them, my eyes welled up. Now there's evidence. Now we see just how much these undocumented immigrants are contributing to the economy. And we do have a broken immigration system. And there are a lot of powers that be that want it to stay broken. It's because there's a lot of people pocketing money. It's an industry at the backs of innocent people, our brothers and sisters. There are diverse circumstances that push people to coming to this country. And sometimes they have to do it illegally because there is no other way. And I've been asked many times, why don't people do it the right way? Why don't they go back to their country and submit from Mexico? And why do they have to come to this country illegally? One of the many reasons why people don't do that is because there's a broken immigration system in the United States. They don't do it legally because this broken system makes it so that they can't come back for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. That's exactly what happened to my brother. Because he was the eldest, he also wasn't an American citizen. My parents actually submitted his paperwork many times. They've spent over $40,000. After waiting almost 35 years, he's finally received his residency. His wife is still in Mexico. It's been heartbreaking for us. We've been divided. He missed a lot of family gatherings, weddings. It's been really difficult for him. We need to also remember and have in our hearts, Lehi and his family were refugees. They were running away from persecution. That so was Joseph Smith and the pioneers. And even Jesus Christ had to run away to Egypt to hide out for a time. And what a tragedy it would be, or how would it have changed history if there was customs saying you can't come in, you can't fulfill the Lord's commandment because you don't have the right documentation. So I really do believe those that are brought to this continent and those that are brought into this country are brought here by the hand of the Lord. If we really do believe in the scriptures and the prophecies, then we would understand that the Lamanites will flourish as the flower. I think that we need to remember that Jesus Christ is the ultimate example of having an understanding heart, of love, of unity. He walked with the misfit, the outcast, the homeless. He visited the sick and the afflicted. He truly understood them and loved them. And I think that we can do better. We need to repent. We need to be better informed, be tactful in the way we approach people, because we are all struggling. I only hope that you never find yourself in a situation where you're that desperate, where you would take drastic measures to protect your family.